All right, so you guys wanted to understand those allegations about MrBeast and crypto, huh? Buckle up, because today we're diving into the wild world of internet scandals and maybe even some insider trading.
Yeah, this isn't just some influencer like, buying and selling Bitcoin. We're talking potentially millions of dollars, possible exploitation of fan bases. And, it brings up all these questions about the ethics of influencer marketing in the crypto space, especially with crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got two main sources we're going to be looking at today. First up, we have this investigative report by Look.io. They did some pretty extensive analysis of cryptocurrency transactions, and they claim these transactions are all linked to MrBeast. And then we've got this YouTube video by Rosanna Pansino. Now, this one is about Lunchly, which is MrBeast's new food product that's been having some issues. A lot of people are finding mold in it. But like you said, the crypto stuff is really the main course today. So for anyone who might not be totally up to speed, MrBeast, he's a huge YouTuber, right? Crazy stunts, giveaways, millions of subscribers, billions of views. But this Look.io report, it's painting kind of a darker picture.
Yeah, Look.io, they're like investigative journalists, but they focus on blockchain analysis. Basically, they can track cryptocurrency transactions all on this public ledger. So they connected MrBeast to, get this, over 50 crypto wallets. And what they found is, it's raising some serious eyebrows.
Yeah, so it's like a digital detective story.
Right.
They've got all these charts and diagrams pulled straight from blockchain data. And these allegedly show MrBeast investing in certain crypto projects right before those projects just blew up in popularity. And then what do you know? The price skyrockets, he allegedly sells a bunch, makes a huge profit.
And that is where things get legally, a little dicey. Because if he was promoting these projects to his massive audience, like after he was already invested and knowing they were going to pump, that could be considered insider trading.
And we're not talking about like chump change here. Look.io, they claim MrBeast might have made millions doing this. It's kind of crazy to think that someone could be using their influence, especially over millions of fans. A lot of them are like young, impressionable, to make this kind of money.
Yeah, and a lot of these people might be, new to investing. And that's the thing. This report, it delves into some specific tokens that are at the center of all of this. Superverse, formerly known as Superfarm. This seems to be like a major one. Look.io claims that MrBeast bought a ton of it right before announcing it as a sponsor for one of his videos.
Oh, wow. Convenient timing.
Right.
Super convenient.
And then there's Earn, Eternity Chain, SRPX, XCAT. It goes on and on. And this is where it gets really interesting, the report suggests that MrBeast might not have been acting alone.
Okay, so who else is involved?
Well, there are these potential connections to other big YouTubers like KSI, Alex Becker, Lazarbeam.
Wow, so this is like a whole network.
Potentially, yeah. They were all involved in some of these same projects. Now, it's important to remember that none of these creators have been formally charged with anything, and they haven't really addressed these allegations directly.
Right, this is all still alleged at this point. But, come on, the sheer volume of information Look.io presents, it definitely warrants a closer look.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about how many of MrBeast's viewers are young people. They might be more likely to just trust his recommendations. And not do their own research.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our other source, the one about the moldy lunches.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the moldy lunch saga.
Yeah.
So Rosanna Pansino, she's a YouTuber. She did this whole video reviewing MrBeast's new food product, Lunchly, which is, marketed as a healthier version of Lunchables.
Yeah. And while this might seem totally separate, it's actually related because it all ties into this whole conversation about influencer responsibility.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So in the video, Pansino opens up this Lunchly pizza on camera, and boom, it's covered in mold. And get this was well before the expiry date. She even compares it to a Lunchables pizza, same kind of pizza, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, no mold. And Pansino, she doesn't hold back. She criticizes the whole marketing of Lunchly, this idea that it's healthy when it's clearly still heavily processed. She even shows how to make, cheaper, healthier lunch options yourself.
And to make matters worse, a representative for MrBeast actually responded to the video.
Yeah.
And he basically implied that the mold was Pansino's fault, like she stored it wrong or something.
Which obviously sparked a whole debate online about food safety and corporate responsibility, especially when it comes to products marketed to kids.
Exactly. So we have these two stories, right? Moldy lunches and potential crypto schemes. They seem totally separate.
Right, but what if we look at them both? Through this lens of influencer responsibility, what does that tell us about blindly trusting online personalities? That's what we'll unpack after the break. So before the break, we're talking about these two big issues with MrBeast, the moldy lunchly thing, and then those pretty serious allegations about insider trading with crypto.
You were saying that they're both connected, right? Like how?
Yeah, by this whole idea of influencer responsibility. Think about it. You've got MrBeast, he's this huge, hugely popular guy, and he's promoting things to his audience. In one case, it's this food product, Lunchly, aimed at kids. In the other, it's investing in specific crypto tokens.
And in both cases, there's this question of like, was he being totally honest with his audience about the downsides? With Lunchly, you have to ask, like, how much responsibility does he have to make sure that product is safe, high quality?
Right, exactly. And with crypto, if he knew that those tokens were going to pump in price because of some deals or something before he told his audience, I mean, isn't there a responsibility to be transparent about that? Especially because, a lot of his viewers are young. They might not get how complicated the crypto market is.
Yeah, it's like a violation of trust, right? People follow MrBeast because he seems like this, genuine, fun-loving dude. But if he's not being straight with them about their money especially,
Yeah.
that changes things.
It does. It really does. And this isn't just about MrBeast either. This is a bigger thing about influencer culture in general. When someone has millions of followers, the stakes are high.
Because those followers, they're not just watching for fun anymore. They're looking for advice on what to buy, where to invest, how to live their lives. That's a huge responsibility.
Huge. It's something that influencers and their audiences both need to be aware of. Influencers, they got to think about the consequences of what they do, the products they promote.
And viewers, they got to be like smarter, more critical about what they see online. Don't just believe everything an influencer says. Do your own research, ask questions, be skeptical.
Especially when it comes to something as, volatile as crypto. Speaking of which, we keep coming back to that Look.io report because it's a perfect example of how things can go south.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the crypto for a sec. One thing that really got me in that report was how they used blockchain analysis to track everything. It's like they had X-ray vision for crypto.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing technology. And it's important to understand how it works because it's becoming more and more common for investigating financial crimes, not just in crypto, but everywhere.
Okay, so for people like me, who are not like tech geniuses, can you explain blockchain analysis in simple terms? What does it actually tell you?
Okay, so imagine a giant digital ledger. It keeps track of every single crypto transaction ever. That's basically the blockchain. And blockchain analysis, it's like having a detective go through that ledger really carefully.
So they can see, like, where the money came from, where it went, who was involved.
Exactly. And because that blockchain is public, anyone who knows how can look at it. In the MrBeast investigation, Look.io used that to trace the money. From those alleged wallets to the different tokens, mapped out his activity.
And they could do all that without seeing his bank statements or anything.
Yep, that's the thing about blockchain analysis. It's all out there. You're just going to know how to read it.
Okay, that makes sense. But going back to MrBeast, I'm still not totally clear on this whole insider trading thing. Can you explain why it's such a big deal, like legally?
Sure. So insider trading, it's basically using info that's not public to get ahead in the market. Like, say you work for a company and you know they're about to release some awesome product, something that's going to make their stock price explode. If you buy a bunch of that stock before anyone else knows, you're profiting from insider knowledge.
Oh, okay, I see. So with MrBeast, if he knew those tokens were going to pump because of, like, secret deals or something, and then he told his audience about them, that would be insider trading.
Exactly. And even though the crypto market isn't as regulated as the stock market, insider trading is still illegal. It can mean big fines, even jail time.
Wow, so the stakes are really high. Which brings us back to responsibility again. Influencers, they have a responsibility to their audience, but also to themselves, to stay on the right side of the law.
For sure, and that responsibility gets even bigger when your audience is young and impressionable. Remember, the Look.io report, it said a lot of MrBeast's fans are teens and young adults. People who might not fully get how risky crypto is.
Yeah, crypto's really risky. You can lose a lot of money really fast.
And that's why it's super important for influencers to be honest when they're promoting it.
Yeah.
Make sure their audience knows the risks, not just jumping in because their favorite YouTuber told them to.
It's tough, right? You want to be excited about something you like, but you also don't want to mislead anyone.
Right. It's a balance. That's where transparency is key. Be upfront about what you're doing, disclose any conflicts of interest, encourage your audience to do their own research.
So what does this all mean for someone who's thinking about getting into crypto? What are the takeaways?
Well, don't just blindly follow anyone's financial advice. Even if you really like them, trust them, do your research, understand what you're investing in.
And don't let FOMO, that fear of missing out take over.
Right, crypto's full of hype. It's easy to get caught up in it. But remember, slow and steady.
Take your time, learn as much as you can, only invest what you can afford to lose.
Exactly. And there are resources out there to help you. Websites, forums, even courses. They can teach you about blockchain, crypto investing, how to avoid scams.
Okay, so knowledge is power. But going back to the Look.io report, they found those potential connections to other YouTubers too.
Right. KSI, Alex Becker, Lazar Beam, all mentioned. And that brings up an even bigger question. How widespread is this?
Yeah, is this just a MrBeast thing? Or are there a bunch of influencers doing this?
That's what's worrying. The report, it suggests they may have all been sharing info about projects, coordinating their investments, their promotions. If that's true, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, like a secret society, profiting off their followers.
Not good. It shows that we need more transparency and accountability.
So what can be done? Can you regulate influencer marketing?
That's a tough one. You don't want to stop creativity or free speech, but you also got to protect people.
Right, it's a balance.
Yeah.
Maybe there could be clearer rules for influencers, especially about investing.
Yeah, that's one possibility. There are RSM rules, like from the FTC, but they could be stronger.
And maybe YouTube, Twitch, those platforms, they could do something too. Have stricter policies, more educational stuff.
For sure, they have a responsibility to keep their users safe.
Okay, so where does that leave us? Allegations, questions about ethics, uncertainty about crypto marketing?
It's a lot. But the main thing for listeners is knowledge is power. The more you understand about crypto, about the risks, about influencer marketing, the better decisions you'll make.
Great advice. Don't just take things at face value. Dig deeper, ask questions, challenge the status quo.
Exactly. Critical thinking, that's your best weapon.
Well said. We've covered so much today, from blockchain analysis to ethics to how this could all impact MrBeast's fans.
It's complicated, but hopefully we've learned some important lessons about critical thinking, financial literacy, taking responsibility.
This deep dive has really shown me how complicated the influencer economy is and how risky it can be.
And remember, the more we know, the better we can navigate it, safely and ethically.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and keep questioning everything. Okay, so we've talked about this potential violation of trust and how influencers have a responsibility to their audience. But there's another layer to this whole thing. I think it's important. It's about who actually gets hurt.
Yeah, the victims often get overlooked in these situations.
Because if these allegations are true, the people who lose the most are like the fans, right? The ones who trust MrBeast, who maybe followed his advice about crypto.
Exactly. We're not talking about, Wall Street guys or professional investors. We're talking about potentially thousands of young people who put their money into these tokens because someone they looked up to told them to.
And for a lot of them, this might be their first time investing, right? Which can be a big deal. It shapes how you see things. If their first investment goes bad because they were misled, that could mess with them financially and make them not trust the system.
Absolutely. It could make them scared to invest in the future. Or even worse, make them think the whole idea of being responsible with money is a joke. And that's sad because learning to invest well is so important when you're young.
It is. It really is. It's like a betrayal, you look up to someone, you trust them, and then bam, turns out they might have been using you the whole time.
It's rough.
And with crypto, it's even worse because it's so new, so unpredictable.
Right. A lot of young people might not get how risky it is. They might be more likely to fall for the hype, that fear of missing out.
Especially when that hype is coming from someone as big as MrBeast. Millions of subscribers. They listen to everything he says. If he tells them some token is going to be huge, they believe him.
Yeah, they do. And that's why this whole thing is so concerning. It shows how influencer marketing can be abused, especially with money stuff. We need more transparency, more education, so fans can make good choices, protect themselves.
So what can we do? How do we stop this from happening again?
Yeah.
Can you, regulate influencer marketing without, stopping creativity or free speech?
That's the tough part. I think it takes a few things. Education, some regulation, and the industry policing itself.
What do you mean, policing itself?
Well, influencers got to step up, too. Be more honest about their money stuff, be careful about what they promote, and teach their audiences about the risks.
So building trust, being ethical. But what about the platforms like YouTube, Twitch? Don't they got to protect their users, too?
Absolutely. Huge responsibility there. They need clearer rules about promoting financial stuff, provide resources, education, and they got to enforce those rules.
And what about the viewers? What can they do to protect themselves?
Be informed, be skeptical, don't just believe everything you see online, even from people you like. Do your research, ask questions, and if something seems too good to be true, walk away.
So take control.
Exactly. Don't let anyone else make your financial decisions for you.
Great advice. Okay, we've covered a lot, from blockchain analysis to ethics to how this impacts MrBeast's fans.
Complicated stuff, but hopefully we've learned from it. About critical thinking, about money, about taking responsibility.
This deep dive has really shown me how complex and how risky the influencer economy is.
It is, but remember, knowledge is power. The more we know, the better we can handle it, safely, ethically.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and never stop questioning everything